It started with one sentence, a smirk, a tone, and within 48 hours, Karoline Leavitt, once the rising star of conservative media, wasn't just being dragged online, she was facing a lawsuit worth $80 million. Not over a violent act, not even a slur, but over a sentence, 7 words delivered on a Wednesday afternoon on a cable panel show most people didn't even watch live. But someone clipped it, someone shared it, and someone else pressed play. What followed wasn't just outrage, it was a cultural bomb. It crossed state lines, party lines, even algorithm lines. TikTok caught it, then Twitter, then the news cycle. By the time Karoline understood what was happening, it was already too late. Sponsors pulled out. Colleagues ghosted her. And Jasmine Crockett, the woman Karoline thought she had dismissed in one line, stepped up with a message that shattered the internet. We all make mistakes, but when they get televised, monetized, and weaponized, you lose the right to pretend it's no big deal. This isn't just a scandal, it's not just another internet dragging. This is a real lawsuit with real stakes, and it might be one of the most high-profile political defamation cases in recent memory. So how did Karoline go from sharp-tongued pundit to media pariah? And what exactly did Jasmine Crockett say that had everyone, from hair salons to Harvard professors, quoting her like gospel? Let's rewind to where it started. Because to understand how everything collapsed, you need to hear what Karoline Leavitt said and what she meant. It wasn't loud, it wasn't even obvious, but it was enough to burn her career to the ground. The setting? A Wednesday afternoon just past 3 p.m. Eastern, American Flashpoint, a political panel show known for its rapid-fire format, was taping live out of Jacksonville, Florida. The topic? The usual powder keg. Urban crime, federal funding, partisan gridlock. Karoline Leavitt sat at the far right end of the table. Blonde, blazer, calm. She looked like she always did, confident, sharp, unshakable. But then the host mentioned Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. There was a tiny beat, one breath longer than usual. Karoline tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, leaned forward and said it. She's not serious, emotional, dramatic, loud. That's her whole brand. The table went silent. Not dramatically, just a hiccup in the flow. One of the other panelists took an extra second before responding, and then the conversation moved on, but the comment didn't. In the control booth, an intern named Rena clipped the moment. She added a caption, "Did Karoline just go there?" And she posted it to the show's Twitter. The team thought it might stir some debate, maybe boost engagement. They weren't wrong. Within 30 minutes, it had 2,000 retweets, then 8,000, then 50,000 on TikTok. People were pausing the video, slowing it down, not just analyzing what Karoline said, but how she said it. The smirk, the tone, the pause. Some called it coded language, others called it something worse, but no one called it harmless. In a nail salon in El Paso, a woman shook her head and muttered, "Why they always go for the same stereotype?" In a warehouse break room in Youngstown, someone said it out loud. She knew exactly what she was doing. Meanwhile, Karoline was scrolling her own notifications in the green room. The first few replies, supportive. She's right. Tell it like it is. But then came the shift. Quote tweets flooded in. Emotional, dramatic, loud trended by midnight. And yet Karoline still didn't flinch. "They're overreacting," she told her stylist. But Rena, the intern who posted the clip, she knew, she saw the numbers. This wasn't blowing over, it was blowing up. But the real explosion didn't come from a tweet. It came from the one person Karoline thought wouldn't respond. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just watching. She was preparing. The video kept circulating. Fast. People weren't just mad, they were dissecting it frame by frame. One creator on TikTok slowed the clip to 0.75x speed and zoomed in on Karoline's face, paused it right at the smirk, added captions, "Watch this," right there. That's not a comment, that's contempt. Another video flipped the context entirely. It played Jasmine Crockett's past speeches, fiery, passionate, unflinching, alongside Karoline's comment, like a highlight reel versus a dismissal. Millions watched, most agreed, some defended Karoline, but even those voices felt quieter than usual. By Friday morning, number Karoline Leavitt was trending not just in political circles, but across lifestyle pages, beauty TikTok, sports Twitter. Everyone had an opinion. And Karoline? She still hadn't said a word. In Jacksonville, she was back in the studio. Same seat, same set. But the energy was off. Her makeup artist Gina applied foundation in silence. Karoline finally muttered, "They always get dramatic. Give it a day." Gina didn't respond, not right away. Then she said softly, "Maybe they're not the dramatic ones this time." Karoline didn't like that. Backstage, her producer gave her a warning. "We're getting pressure. Corporate wants a statement, just something neutral." But Karoline waved him off. "No way, I'm not apologizing for telling the truth." Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett had posted a video, not polished, not scripted, just her, sitting on her porch in Dallas, hair tied back, no makeup, voice calm. "This isn't about me being upset," she said. "This is about being reduced again, labeled again, and the people saying, 'She didn't mean it like that.' Let me ask you something. How many times are we supposed to just eat that and smile?" The clip hit hard. It was reposted by celebrities, athletes, even people Karoline had once interviewed. And for the first time, Karoline's inbox wasn't just flooded with anger. It was silent. No brand partnerships, no PR backup. Even her podcast producer ghosted her. And still, no statement. But Jasmine wasn't done talking, because behind that calm tone and porch-light video, she was preparing to go nuclear. It came on Monday morning, an email, a clean subject line, CC'd to Karoline's team, and half the political media world. Subject: Notice of intent to file defamation. Lawsuit: Crockett vs. Leavitt. Karoline stared at it, stunned. The claims: defamation, character assassination, coded incitement. The damages: $80 million. She read the line twice. Then a third time, her manager Lyle called her in a panic. "This is serious," he said. "She's not just mad. She's coming for your reputation, your income, your entire platform." Karoline still didn't believe it. Over one comment? Lyle didn't flinch. Over what that comment meant, and the history you didn't realize was standing behind it. She laughed, bitter, tired. "It's a witch hunt." But Jasmine wasn't hiding behind lawyers. She was already on the courthouse steps by noon, cameras rolling, microphones ready. She wore navy, no entourage, just confidence. "I'm not here because of politics," she said. "I'm here because there are lines and they were crossed." Reporters live tweeted every word. TikTok lit up again. Even major networks cut to the press conference. But it was what Jasmine didn't say that hit hardest. She didn't call Karoline names. She didn't play victim. She stood there like someone who'd been waiting her whole career to be heard, and finally had the world's attention. Back in Sarasota, Karoline sat in her car watching the live stream on her phone. Engine off, a sea blasting, her jaw clenched. Her lawyer called. "You need to prepare. This is going to trial, and they've been building their case for a while." Karoline blinked. "What do you mean, a while?" "They've got clips, emails, podcast quotes, everything." The phone buzzed again. CNN notification. Breaking. Jasmine Crockett files $80 million lawsuit over Leavitt panel comments. Karolina's world didn't feel like it was falling apart. It felt like it had already fallen. and she was just now hitting the ground. Because the courtroom wasn't the most shocking part. Jasmine's mic drop moment, that was still coming. The courtroom hadn't opened yet. But Jasmine Crockett had already won the moment. It started with a video, just her, no filters, no PR polish, sitting on her back porch in Dallas, wind blowing lightly, dusk settling. She didn't cry, she didn't raise her voice, she just spoke. "I've been called a lot of things," she said. "Too loud, too intense, too emotional, too angry, but I show up every day to serve, to work, and when someone decides to reduce me to a stereotype on national television, that's not commentary, that's erasure." Her voice didn't shake, but it cut. She ended with this. "This isn't about being offended, it's about being dehumanized. No hashtags, no dramatic background music, just honesty." And it exploded. Millions watched, celebrities reposted, activists rallied, even apolitical influencers chimed in. The clip was paired side by side with Karoline's original comment. The difference was undeniable. The public made up its mind. By the time Jasmine stood in front of a federal courthouse in San Antonio, she didn't need to raise her voice. The world was already listening. She didn't point fingers, she didn't shout, she just said that there are lines. And they were crossed. This case isn't just for me, it's for every woman who's been told to sit down and smile while someone talks over her humanity. Karoline watched the clip alone. This time, she didn't laugh, she didn't tweet, she didn't text her manager. She just sat there and felt the public shift around her. But Jasmine wasn't just a speaker now, she was a plaintiff. And when the trial opened, the real damage would begin. The courtroom was cold, not metaphorically, literally. The AC buzzed, the lights hummed, the walls felt tight. Karoline sat stiff in a navy suit, 2 shades darker than the bags under her eyes. Across from her, Jasmine Crockett. Calm, steady, nothing flashy. The judge called the session to order. Opening statements began. Jasmine's lawyer, Maxwell Dunn, stood like he'd been waiting years for this case. "This isn't about hurt feelings," he said. "It's about harm, about how powerful platforms, when used recklessly, can amplify bias and reduce a public servant to a punchline." He clicked a remote. On screen appeared Karoline's quote, then her smirk, then a montage. Other clips, other comments, emails, tweets, a pattern. Maxwell didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "This was not an accident," he said. "It was a strategy." Karoline's lawyer countered, called it opinion, called it a political difference, called it protected speech. The jury listened, but they weren't blinking much. Then the witnesses came, a former producer. She knew how to press buttons. She called it good TV. But sometimes she didn't care who she flattened in the process. An ex-co-host. We talked about Crockett a lot, off-air. Karoline would say she was performing, not governing. The court called Jasmine. She took the stand with the same calm she had on her porch. "I'm not angry about being criticized," she said. "I'm angry about being diminished. I work too hard. I show up too much to be told I'm a brand, I'm a person." And then came the cross-examination. Karoline's lawyer leaned in. "Do you think my client intended to cause you personal harm?" Jasmine paused. "I think she didn't care if she did." The room shifted. Even Karoline looked down. 3 days later, the jury returned. $12 million, not the full 80, but enough to send a message, "We heard you." But the trial wasn't the end, because the real collapse, that happened after the cameras stopped rolling. The verdict dropped like a stone. $12 million. Headlines screamed it. Networks dissected it. Twitter made it trend. But Karoline wasn't in front of the cameras anymore. She was on the floor of her condo in sweatpants, staring at her silent phone. And then came the leak. A voice memo, private, late at night, Karoline venting, "I'm not racist, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that every disagreement is about lived experience. This whole thing is theatre. Jasmine knows what she's doing. She's milking this for attention." Those last 5 words, milking this for attention, got clipped, captioned, and weaponized. TikTok added dramatic piano music. Twitter exploded. People didn't need the full context. They had enough. This wasn't a statement, it was a reveal. The public saw the mask drop, and no one rushed to defend her. Not the brands, not the network, not even her co-hosts. One headline read, "Karoline Leavitt, silenced by her own echo." And then came the email. From corporate. Subject line, "Termination effective immediately." No exit interview, no panel farewell. Just gone. Karoline tried calling, straight to voicemail. She drove to the studio. Her badge still worked. But the air inside had changed. An assistant editor dropped their coffee when they saw her. She knocked on the door of her producer, Angela. No answer. She pushed it open anyway. Angela looked up. "You're not cleared to be here. Am I being let go?" Angela nodded once. "It's being discussed." That was it. The same network that built her, spotlighted her, celebrated her rise, that was now deleting her name from their folders. By nightfall, her story was just another bullet point on a media gossip blog. Karoline Leavitt terminated after defamation trial. But just when you thought the story was over, Jasmine Crockett said something else. And this time, it wasn't about the trial, it was about the future. The camera angle was low, just a single chair, natural light. Jasmine Crockett sitting by a window, looking out. Calm. This wasn't a press conference. It wasn't viral bait. It was a message. "Accountability is not punishment," she said. "It's the beginning of something better if we let it be." Just 18 seconds, but those 18 seconds hit harder than any cross-examination. The quote hit Twitter first, then Instagram Reels, then everywhere. Commentators repeated it on podcasts. Late-night shows played it with applause. It became a caption, a headline, a quote on a protest sign. Meanwhile, Karoline was nowhere to be found. No interviews, no panels, no live streams. She had lost the lawsuit, the sponsors, the microphone, and Jasmine hadn't taken it. She'd earned it. In the end, Karoline Leavitt wasn't just ruined by a comment. She was ruined by what came after. By the silence, the smirk, the refusal to listen. And Jasmine Crockett? She didn't raise her voice. She didn't clap back. She just spoke, and the world listened, and the world listened.